Owning your masters is super important. When other people own your masters, they basically control what happens with that song and you sometimes, because a lot of these artists like to sign contracts where they're giving up the rights and the masters to music that they haven't even made yet, aka future albums, future projects. And you never know what that song may end up doing financially on the back end that you're just selling yourself short on. And then on the other hand, you want to be able to have a say so on what happens with your art and what happens with you. In other words, when somebody else owns your masters, they have a lot of say so in what actually happens with that song and how that song is pushed. I don't think you really want to give nobody else that type of control unless you're okay with it, unless you plan on just getting in and out of the deal. Then cool, play your cards right, do what you have to. But if you're playing for the long run and you have enough confidence in yourself that you can build a community and at least sustain yourself off your music, then I say bet on yourself. Especially in 2025, artists need personal brands more than ever. We get in this headspace where we think just the music within itself is enough. A lot of times, the supporters, your listeners, whatever you want to call them, also want to get an insight on who you are, right? And we see personal brands getting built typically with mainstream artists when they start doing press runs, when you start seeing them on different podcasts and you start seeing people joining Kai Cenat's stream and stuff like that. All of that is an exhibit of building their personal brand. They're showing who they are outside of the art form and they're showing their creativity, and it's allowing the people that may be interested in them to build somewhat of a relationship with them. Once your supporters have a relationship with you, the music kind of sells itself because they've built a bond with the person making the music. So whatever they put out, they're probably gonna mess with it. One of the red flags that I think a lot of people need to look out for in contracts is a certain word called perpetuity. Now, this word was taught to me, and I looked into it, and I really realized the weight that just one word can hold. That word means forever. So whenever you see the word perpetuity in one of your contracts, start reading around it and make sure you're not giving up something for life that you truly want. A lot of these contracts could be so tricky and shady. It can just be a word, a sentence on a random page that'll throw you off completely. So make sure you're reading the fine print or getting lawyers or somebody else who can help you on that back end once you get to that point where you're starting to sign contracts. And if you're at a beginning stage and you're just not getting into your music, you don't need to be signing to anybody anyways. Don't let these older dudes pimp y'all out. And to tie back into the personal brand aspect of it, a lot of these rappers' marketing is failing, including producers, engineers, whatever the case may be. You guys' marketing is failing because you're focusing too much on the music. Don't get me wrong. You need to have great art. You need to have amazing messaging inside of the art, etc. But when it comes to pushing that art, a lot of times people want to know the why behind these songs. They want to know the why. Why did this album come out? How did this album come out? What's the story? What's the emotion behind these pieces? Yes, you can become very clear on that within the album itself, or the song, or the beat within itself. But giving somebody the opportunity to learn more and dig into the true essence of why this is existing in our space, that's the pull that a lot of rappers and musicians need in today's time. It's not that you have trash music, and it's not that all like people have this tendency to just like take like a random screenshot of a photo or something like that and then just post it on Instagram with the song playing behind it. That's not marketing. That's telling people that you have a song. Yes, that's kind of marketing, but the pull that you guys are typically looking for comes when you start digging into the story, digging into the brand, digging into the messaging, and the marketing starts to unveil itself. Start hitting up them collabs, start doing them podcasts, start doing them vlogs, start just do stuff. Show who you are in your day-to-day life, how you think, your interactions, and that will build your marketing out for you. And as an artist, it kind of makes it a little bit easier too, because your marketing is just simply you being yourself. There's no rules. Be yourself and you will market yourself by typically just doing what you were doing in the first place, but just showing people. So typically what goes into catching a viral moment for me is no, it's not even two things. It's one thing. It's the words. It's what's being said underneath the clip, right? So either you can start off, I've did kind of poetic pieces where it just went straight into a poem, but even the beginning of the poem was like a hook. It captivated them. And how the words are being, timed, and just the spacing is kind of hard to explain. But once you get into it, you'll see what I mean. When I say it's the words, it's the hook at the very beginning. Is it catching people's attention? That's the dominating force in a viral clip, right? And you gotta find your niche, right? You can make a niche out of anything realistically, but the stronger your hooks are, the more better you have a chance of getting a viral moment. I've had viral clips, get over 1 million views, whatever the case may be, on random things where it's just like somebody talking, my grandfather talking, or something like that, and it's just out of random event, words, just random conversation. And then we have other things. We're doing poetry. We're doing, musical things, working with artists. Like it really doesn't matter. It's the words underneath it, especially when you guys are doing the short form videos. Because we've switched to short form more than music videos now. Yes, you can do your music videos, but having an overflow of short form content and allowing the community and your supporters to feed off of that content, make their own remixes, make their own reels, reshare, etc. That's going to bring a lot more pull. So with these short form content, even though you're doing, a part of the song, you're not doing the whole song. Make sure you're picking songs that have a story or a potent energy behind it, right? You have a very strong hook. It is saying something, it's grabbing the attention, and then make the short form piece of content around that certain part. A lot of people like to just go to the main part of the song, the hook, or whatever the case may be, when a lot of the times the hook isn't the best part of the song. Sometimes it may be the verse at the last 20 seconds of the song says something so dope. That's the part that needs to be the short form content, not necessarily the hook because you think it sounds cool and you have a female vocalist helping you and you want to push that image. That's not what's going to get it popping. It's usually the words and what's being said. Staying fresh and removing writer's block is very simple. And I'm so happy I had my papa tell me this too, because it opened my eyes. Talk about reality. It's very hard to run into a writer's block or a block in creativity when you have thoughts every single day. Something I like to say is we all have thoughts, right? And we all have creative thoughts, creative elements every single day at every single second of the day. But it's not until we give ourselves permission to create on the thoughts, the images, the feelings, the emotions that we're going through that we're going to see that creativity manifest. The only time you have a true writer's block is when you're blocking yourself creatively, when you're not allowing yourself to be authentic and truthful in your art. My papa said, if you're feeling sad, write about being sad. If you're feeling happy, write about being happy. If you're excited, write about being excited. Truth, that's reality, right? That's essentially what you're aiming for when you start running into certain blockages. Whatever you're going through, whatever you're seeing, whatever you're feeling, pull that out. Give yourself permission to use it as creativity. Even if you think that is negative, who cares? Give yourself permission to take that negativity and turn it into something creative. You never know what comes from it, and you never know why you're making it. So just do it. Sampling tracks has been around since the beginning of time. My family is known for being sampled over and over and over, granted, because of the album that they put out. And one of the big things that I noticed is what makes a potent sample is the spirit behind why you're sampling it and what you're turning it into, right? I believe every song has an energy, has a spirit, has an aura behind it. Now, when you sample the song, don't completely, like a lot of people like to do like remixes almost, where it basically sounds like the exact same thing. I'm not talking about those type of samples. I'm talking about rap samples where it's sampling words or it's sampling hooks, etc. Right? The best way to tie a sample into your current, music and your current train of thought is by investigating why certain pieces of art was made and its impact it had on its listeners. If you can study the effect that that song had and then kind of play off of it and bring it into your conversation, the sample will be so much more potent. Don't create a sample that's out of conversation. In other words, like, don't go sample a super duper sad, depressed acapella or something like that, and then get on it and start talking about high energy, longevity, all you get what I'm saying? It isn't matching the spirit, because the spirit of that sample wasn't made in that. So if you're making it in the spirit of something that's out of line of its root, that sample's not going to hit as hard as if you just picked a different song, or just did your research a little bit more, or articulated yourself in a way that was cohesive to the sample that you was taking. And I get it too. Being authentic in this industry is very difficult, because there are certain things that sell. There's certain things that people need to do, or not even need to do. But if you do it, the chances of you selling, making money, providing, whatever the case may be, goes up tenfold. One of the things that I see that people can do, at least with content, and a lot of artists do it with their music, is they'll just lace their quote unquote negativity, their stuff that they're using to, essentially drive sales and drive engagement. They'll use that as the driving force, but then they'll also put other songs, other pieces of art, other pieces of content mixed in with it. Because inevitably, supporters go down a rabbit hole, which is why I tell you to do is build your personal brand. Because once somebody finds your music, what do they typically do? They try finding your Instagram. They try saying who you are. If you have any credibility, they want to know who you are. If the song's dope, they're gonna look into you. So that brand is super duper, super duper, super important. So when you're putting out things that's kind of engaging and eye grabby and for sales, in other words, make sure you also just put out the things that's true to you. And then when people start to dig into that, they'll see the true essence of you, right? Because a lot of times the good overweighs the bad. Once people start to see, the true essence of who you are and where your heart space is at, they'll create their own judgment of who you are, and they'll understand why you're doing certain things. But if you're just only doing the things that sells, and you're not exhibiting nothing else within that or besides that, you're going to lose your authenticity. You're going to start blending in, and you're probably going to fall off because it's not true, right? Anything that's not true is going to be very hard to do. So be true. I feel like being consistent in your craft and being consistent in music is the key, just like anything else in life. Because naturally, the more repetitions that you do of something, you get better. And the better that you get, the better results that you get, right? And especially when you're consistent in something, it forces you to learn, because naturally, as humans, we get frustrated. We learn, we adapt, we try to do things a little bit differently, we try to become more efficient. So, just in the process of you committing yourself to something and staying disciplined long enough to say you've been consistent, you will naturally adapt, because it's just a byproduct of the human brain analogy, whatever you want to say. We aren't stagnant, we're forever changing. So by you continuously staying in a certain place, a certain energy, a certain headspace, you'll start adapting, and you'll start reaching higher levels of elevation within your craft, within your thinking, within your money, whatever you're trying to do. Really, consistency is that key. It's really an opener, which really also helps you build the resilience you're going to need to survive in these spaces, right? Because once you're consistent in something, you start having a level of confidence in yourself, right? You don't second guess yourself so much. You take a little bit more risk. You understand that, sometimes things happen in seasons, sometimes just take more time. Or some things just take more time, rather. You just start learning the different ins and outs of what you do and what comes with what you ask for. Sometimes we ask for things and our spirit accepts the challenges, accepts what comes with it, the dues that you're going to have to pay. But our ego may be a couple blocks behind and may not have fully accepted what was ahead. So it had to learn in the process, right? And when you're in that process of learning, when you're in that process of just building that resilience, you have to remember that whatever was destined for you, whatever is meant for you, you are going to achieve. But you have to be able to see it through and sit in it. In other words, right? I think DC Young Fly says something like that. You have to be able to sit. That's it. Just sit in it. Don't move. Don't try doing anything crazy. Just sit in your flow. Just sit in that rhythm. Sit in that motion. The things will come to you naturally. Your body will start moving. You'll see, you're saying things that you didn't mean to say, but you said it better, or you're doing something like your finger just randomly went over here and pressed this. Like, it starts to really guide you spiritually, and it manifests into your physical. Finding your why in music is probably one of the most important things ever, right? Because once you find your why in your music, you can articulate yourself better and your conversation becomes more concentrated. Now, when you find your why, you're also able to pull layers of motivation, layers of inspiration, and also help build into that resilience that I was just talking about. Your why is the core of all of this. If you don't have a strong why, if you're just doing it just to do it, you're not gonna build the skin to withstand those seasons, withstand those lessons. You're not gonna be able to find the creativity to find something to talk about. You're not gonna know what to talk about. If you ever is struggling to find something to talk about your why. I'm pretty sure there's a million in different instances, circumstances, events, ideas that's attached to your why, different things that happened in your life, etc. Find those things and start exhibiting it in the best fashion that you can, right? Your why is so powerful. Don't sleep on it. I believe having multiple income streams as an artist is super duper important because streaming content, music, whatever the case may be, that's an up and down number, right? All because you're making, let's say, 10 bands a month from your music or $500 a month from your music. That doesn't mean next month you're also going to make that same 10 bands or 500. You may make more, you may make significantly less, right? It's all just like kind of a gamble. So you got to figure out where your means are at. But then when you diversify, you're not so stressed and, you know, close minded into one avenue, which by nature has up and downs, right? You're trying to create somewhat of a balance. If you have something else in motion, if you have something else you're building, if you have something else that your brand, your music, your engine, whatever the case may be, can use during the down seasons, then that keeps you afloat until the other thing picks back up. And hopefully you get to the point where everything's just up and all your things are just flowing seamlessly. It seems like you just don't even have to acknowledge it almost, because that's the goal that we're trying to get to as entrepreneurs, or at least business owners. Automation, CEO mindset, get in, get out, sell it, do your thing, right? Um, but diversifying it, if you're just staying as an artist standpoint, get the content. If you're an artist, bro, utilize your phone. Make the content, bro. Post the TikToks, post the YouTube videos, make the vlogs, whatever the case may be. Go get that digital money, because that's what you're trying to get in the first place. You're trying to get the streaming numbers, or you're trying, that's what I hope you're trying to get, the back end of what your music actually does and what you sell, unless you're trying to get it from the label and have them just sign that check off to you. But it was going to come from some type of digital platform anyways. So why not just monetize the name of your brand? If you go by Joseph, Jose, right? Make Jose make money. The music is going to make money, but make the name of Jose make money. So that Instagram account can be making money, that TikTok account can be making money, YouTube can be making money. You could be selling merch. You can be selling little pencils. You could, bro, like literally diversify into, like literally Nip did it too. And Nip was, mixing it in a very strategic way. He was adding the content into his merch. That's still a diversifying different platforms. I'm pretty sure if he started a digital platform like a YouTube or something like that, he would have started getting bags from that. It's different ways to get into it. DJ Head does it, I'm pretty sure, with that homegrown podcast. That's diversifying itself. You get that money off the streams, off the plays. Just find ways to make yourself make money, to free yourself, to give yourself your time back. You may have to put that hustle in. You may have to sacrifice a little bit. You may have to, really focus your energy. But man, it's always worth it. When you're an artist, your main goal is to be free. The freer you are, the better you can create. We don't like creating with constraints. That's not true. We need to be able to be free. So take the steps as you need to free yourself financially, at least. It may seem corny, people may not understand, but you're an artist. You got to do what you got to do. If that bag gonna help you get an extra 6 hours day to your back so you can do something else, make some more music, whatever the case may be, then go do that. I'm gonna end this off with saying the importance of connections is out of this door, right? Like out of this world, whatever the case may be. You never know what may happen, who you may meet, what you may do, whatever the case may be, just by knowing the right people, just by shaking the right hands, just by saying hi to the right people, right? So don't sleep on your network. Be selective, right? Don't be the type of person who just goes out here and networks with everybody, fishing for an opportunity. Acknowledge when that person's network probably wouldn't help you that much, or when that person's network just isn't aligning with you. Pivot. But don't sleep on the friends. Don't sleep on having somebody to call up. You never know when you may need somebody to, or when they may open that door. Because they didn't open the door now, next month, 2 months, whatever the case may be, doesn't mean that may not be a door they open in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, right? And they may open it at the exact time that you actually needed it, right? You never know how things work when it comes to alignment and timing. Something so random could happen in somebody else's life, and something so random could happen in your life, but somehow it brought both of you guys together at a point in time to purposely go on another adventure. That person didn't have the same pull, the same why, the same cause of how that interaction happened, but it happened. So you can't always guess, or you can't always, try to predict how to use a connection and how to network, but just plant seeds with people who share a similar spirit. And you got that gut instinct that I probably need to connect with you, and then let time unfold. You'll understand why you had to connect with these people. Your network can build you. Your network can, help you expand and essentially give you a foundation, give you somewhere where you can, I'm not gonna say chill, but it gives you a cushion where, hey, if you fall, we can pull you up a little bit. If they fall, you can pull them up. You can help them. You can, no, it gives you a support system. There we go. That's the best word. Having connections gives you a support system. Nobody wants to be out here with no support system. So get your connects up. Talk to people. Network. I like y'all.